Well, hello. I am here in my kitchen and I've done a number of live events recently. And I have a bunch of cards from those live events that have questions on them. So I'm going to go through and just really quick answer any of the questions I might not have gotten to in the live event. We'll spend about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes answering questions. We'll go through, I will tap into my source. So, as I like to start most things, reading from my book, Walking Courage. Oh, I can't get it on the screen. That's the back. This is the front. Walking Courage. I'm just going to read real quick. I'm going to read really quick. In this place, I welcome our highest selves, source, angels, spirit guides, the superconscious, any other sources of light like our heart wisdom that are working for our highest good. I ask the spiritual team for wisdom and insight, illuminating dark places and healing deep wounds. We dedicate this time to be centered around our highest good to elevate our vibrations and bring us into a space wherein we co-create lives we love. May this journey, this time, this day, these moments be a delight, a joy, an absolute yes and huzzah. Okay, so here we go. Lynette at one of my events asked, am I on the right track? Anything I should focus on? And I feel like I answered this at that event, right? I'm getting a yes, you're on the right track. I'm getting a yes, you're doing the right things. I'm also getting that, Lynette, darling, you may need to start looking for some more support and some more help, that the people that you thought you could trust and be there for you have their own things going on at this time, and they aren't there to support you in the way that you think that they are. And so you might be looking in the wrong spaces for support, and you might need to go find somebody else. And that's kind of a good thing, because I think it'll help you grow. I think it'll help get the word out a little bit more about what you're doing. So this one is like, how do I listen deeper to my intuition and how do I make better decisions? And this is from Christine. This is from when I was down in Richmond, Virginia. And I think we dealt with this there, but the truth is it comes down to trust, right? How do you trust your team and how do you trust yourself to be hearing correctly? And I think that's a coming in and a deep-centered knowing and a deep-centered peace. And how often do you decide something and then you're like, oh, I should have decided the other way, right? How often do we all do that? We all do it so often. And so I just feel like when you're listening to your intuition, it's a coming in of getting quiet. It's an opportunity to turn off noise and really listen and really focus in. I feel like for me, getting into my intuition is a mindset of I'm going to put the big, loud, arguing, sometimes mean voice in the top of my head aside, and I'm going to go find some kinder voice, a sweeter, softer, more gentle, more accepting voice that's going to accept me for who I am and allow me to be me and not put me down, right? And not put me down, because that's just not okay. And for some people who are already into their intuition, as I feel you are, it's a matter of like creating more meditation time and more space for them just to speak to you. I feel like the going, going, going and doing isn't giving them enough opportunity to speak to you. I left one in the box. So Bear, I'm concerned about I love your compassion for other people and your concern to know how to support a friend. And so I think being there and just being present for them and loving them unconditionally and allowing them to be a little broken and a little unhappy and maybe a little miserable and a little tough, right? You know, sometimes people just don't want to accept love and acceptance and kindness. And that you have to allow them to be that kind of difficult. You just have to allow them to be that kind of difficult and accept them for where they are and love them for where they are, even if your concern for what they've been experiencing doesn't really land in a way that they want to receive it. Because that happens too. This one's for Laurel, again, down in Richmond. And you and I had a long talk upstairs in the bedroom when we were like cleaning things and getting things ready, right? You know what I'm talking about. And that's been on my heart a lot recently. And that conversation's been on my heart a lot recently. And so I'm asking you to really reach out to those people that we talked about you reaching out to, and you taking care of the things you need to take care of, because that's really been heavy on my heart. And so follow up on that. I think for me, I get a lot of questions about health and finances, right? I get a lot of questions about health and finances, and how do I improve my health, and how do I improve my finances? I've been through journeys on both, right? I have a deep meditation practice where I bring both to the table, and I say, I have health and I have financial concerns, right? I have these two things. And I think that's true for a lot of people. And I feel right now the tenor of the United States has a lot of concern about both health and finance. These things are sort of in flux at the moment, right? Vaccines may not be available in the fall for COVID and flu. And so there are some people who are worried about what health and finance looks like here in the United States. But then I also want to say, don't look around at your circumstances so much, right? When I was being diagnosed with Hodgkin's, I was being diagnosed with freaking cancer, right? It happened. We can't deny that history, and that history is very real. And when it was happening, I was like, well, either I die and I go to heaven, because I believed in God as Jesus Christ at that time. And I was like, I die and I go to heaven. Great. Or I live and I continue walking on the earth and serving God. Great. Well, I stopped believing in God in that definition, right? And I started branching out and finding bigger, and that the book is too small, and a whole bunch of other things, right? Fear is a very real thing, and it can definitely be controlling. And until we learn how to harness the wild horse that is fear, we get stuck in this world, and we get stuck in our ruts, and we get stuck in loopy thinking. Like, not loopy as in woo-woo or crazy, off the wall thinking. I mean more like we think in loops and patterns where, you know, you come to a circle about something, and then you think you're okay, but then the circle comes back around, and you're like, wait, I thought I dealt with this, and like, nope, you're just on the same loop over and over and over again. And I'm a big believer in Esther Hicks and the Ask and It Is Given book, or the Law of Attraction book. Both of those books helped me break my financial issues. And I did them. I sat down and I was like, I like this practice, I'm using it. I like this practice, I'm using it. I like this practice, I'm using it. And in 4 months, with meditation, a lot of meditation. But I have to say, it is a practice to get into the vortex that she talks about. That no space, that space where everything is open and possible. It's like what Sanskrit calls samadhi, that space. It's the space that you are actually trying to get into at the end of yoga. If you have a really good yoga instructor, they know this, and this is why you're doing the yoga. If you don't have a good yoga instructor, they think corpse pose at the end is just like a time to continue to talk and brush it off. And I've been in yoga classes where I've had both teachers. One, they totally get the importance of corpse pose at the end, and one where they completely don't. And let me tell you, I do yoga for corpse pose. I'll be completely honest. All of yoga, the entire hour, hour and a half, whatever we're in there in that yummy space for, right? Which is sometimes really painful. And I sometimes bark at my yoga instructors. Liz, Dan, I love you both. I'm sorry if I was ever rude and offensive in my frustrations at being held to really difficult poses. But I will say, the point of yoga is to get you to a space where you are able to dump out your brain and find total peace. That's the point of yoga. And that corpse pose is the point of yoga, because all of the movements that you are doing, the warriors and I just hit the chandelier, all the warriors and and the downward dogs and the kicking one leg in the air, kicking another leg in the air, right? Like tree and all of that is to get you to a space that when you lie down, your body is able to drop whatever it's been thinking about. It's able to use that movement to find peace and relaxation. And breathe. And just breathe. And then, if you're able, you can fall into the zone where it feels like cake. It feels like warm tea. It feels like a hot shower after a cold day skiing. It feels like a cool rain after a scorching hot day. It's just this moment where you feel like everything is yummy, like warm apple pie, right? That is the zone for me that I aim for when I am in meditation. And that is the zone for me that I aim for at the end of yoga. And it is not easy to find. I took the time during the pandemic to practice an hour a day. And it was only in the last 10 minutes that I was able to find myself into that sweet spot of a zone. It's not easy to get into. Esther Hicks in her talk, she's like, oh, it takes you like 5 minutes to get into it. You just get into it and boop, you're there. And I'm like, who are you? No, you're not just there. That's not so easy. It's not so easy. It's not so easy. Now, years later, with hours of meditation behind me, yeah, I hop in immediately. Absolutely. I get right into it. It's like the easiest thing. You're like, what does samadhi feel like? And I'm like, it feels like this. There it is. It's right there. I can feel it right here. And those of you who are able to tap into my energy and feel it with me. It feels so freaking good. Now, it's that space that creates your health and your finances. Because once you get into that space, you then bring in what you want. I want to be whole and healthy. I want to be vital. I want to be invigorated. I want all of my cells to be cleansed. I want my finances to be perfect. I want $1 million. I want to be free. I want to be, just whatever you want, you throw it in there when you're in the vortex. We get attached. And once we're attached, it is really hard to get unattached. And the thing that attaches us is fear. If we feel out of control, we feel fearful. And it's just that simple. If we feel out of control, we feel fearful. And so health and finances fall into a space that creates a lot of fear for us. And therefore we get very attached to it, and it's hard to let it go. So the more time you can spend in the vortex, the more time you will be able to release and allow. Sarah in Drexel Hill asked me, will I get out of debt this year? And I want this, and for those of you who are listening and you are asking the same question, how do I get out of debt? I want to get out of debt this year, right? And I'll be honest, I kind of want this too, right? Kim Beebe wants this too. Like, how do I get out of debt, right? How do I get rid of my car payment? So here we go. I want you to breathe in and out on this. And it's the same kind of conversation, right? It's the same financial conversation we just had. And so we get into the vortex. So we breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth, and we allow our brain to just be. And I understand the chitter and the chatter of talking inside meditation. Oh my God, do I understand the chitter and chatter of talking inside of meditation? Like, it makes total sense to me. For those of you who haven't ever experienced the chitter and chatter of the voice inside your head, I don't know if you're alive, because everybody has it. And so many people tell me I can't meditate because of the chitter and the chatter inside my head. And that has been called monkey mind for a very long time inside of meditation circles. Monkey mind is a thing. It's a reason we you are human because our brain flips from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. It's just what it does. So here we go. You breathe in, you breathe out, you recognize your brain is going to keep moving. Let your brain move. You are not your brain. Surprising thought and surprising statement. You are not your brain. Okay? In and out with your breath, and your brain is going to whir a little bit. And I want you to imagine rising above your thoughts. So your thoughts are a river that flow below you, and they just chitter and they chatter, and you're going to watch them go by. Just watch your thoughts go by. And if I could hand you samadhi, if I could just hand you the vortex, I would. I'd be like, here, feel this. And for those of you who are energetically able to receive, I am sending you the vortex right now. It doesn't matter when you listen to this. I am sending it to you. I am in it and I feel it and I am giving it to you. And I want you to have it. I want you to have the peace of this space. And that is where you bring your debt. And I don't want you to phrase it as debt. I want you to figure out the amount you want. What amount do you want? What big freaking amount do you want? And then I want you to say that amount inside your head as I'm giving you this energy. How much do you want? Be bold. Don't go so far out that it begins to feel resisty and you're like, oh, that's a lot, that's too much. Pick a number that you can swallow, you can believe. A number that feels really good and yummy. And then I want you to swim around in that yummy, good feeling. How amazing would that feeling be? How amazing would it be if you had that million? For me, it's 1 million. For you, that might be too big. Maybe it's only 100,000. Maybe it's only 50,000. How great would that feel? Just like swim in that number, right? Maybe it's 3 million. Maybe it's 7 million, right? That seems like awfully big for some people. That might be giant and out of the realm of possibility. And maybe 1,000 would just feel really good. Let's start small to create faith, right? So go ahead and just swim around in that feeling. And in fact, you can come back to this podcast over and over and over again and swim around in this feeling as much as you want. And breathe into it and create it and feel it. How yummy is that? And now you'll notice we're not talking about debt. We're talking about creating money. We're talking about the number we want and how good that feels. All right? Maybe it's a beach house. How great would that be to have a beach house? I personally want one on an ocean, but you may want one on a lake, right? A beach house. How lovely would that be? Maybe it's that car you've been looking at. How would that feel? How would it feel to be driving that car? Put yourself behind the wheel and feel it. Feel it with everything you have. And the second you start to feel a little resistance, back off. You've gone too far. You've gone too far. You've pressed yourself out beyond the realm of possibility and belief. Just pull it back in so that it feels really good. And sit in that. Just sit in it. So yummy. Somebody asked about, Danielle in Havertown actually asked, am I on the right career path? And for those of you who are struggling with your chosen careers, and if you've made the right choice, and if you're in the right space, right? If you're in that, am I doing the right thing for me? The question is, are you lit up? Are you excited? Do you want to go to work? Is work something that makes you feel like you are purposeful? You are in your purpose. Not purposeful like I'm helping society, I'm doing something for the greater good, but like I am alive. I am joyful. I feel like I've been tapped in and turned on and my lights are blaring out like a Christmas tree, right? Like, am I seen from space? I am so alive in my job. If the answer to that is no, as I feel like it might be for like a lot of people in the world, then you're not in your purpose. Not fully, not 100%, not completely. And you may find that a job that you felt that way about, you no longer feel that way about. Like, it used to feel that way, but now it no longer feels that way. Like, that was for Kim and teaching, right? For those of you who find it weird that I just refer to myself in third person, that's what happens when I'm channeling. I flip out of speaking as if I am me because it's my team talking, not me. So my voice doesn't necessarily change, but my pronouns do. So if that was weird, I'm sorry. Let me hop back into spirit, and this will be the last question I deal with on this particular episode. But we'll keep recording these, and you can hop in. So, when Kim was a teacher, she thought it was a total game and loved it until she didn't. It just fell apart for her, and it was no longer exciting. And actually, the grading felt like an albatross around her neck, and she just didn't want to be doing it. And that is fine. That is fine. It just, things shift. Only she didn't know how to shift with them. And it wasn't until after Hodgkins, and it took Hodgkins to really get her on a different path. It wasn't until after Hodgkins that she went and got a master's in social work, which then led her to mindfulness-based stress reduction, which then led her to social work, which then led her to work in a hospital, which then led to the pandemic, which then led to some really poor choices on the hospital's part. And then she went per diem at the hospital. And then when she was done being per diem, she went on a 5-week silent retreat. And then after the 5-week silent retreat, she said, I don't want to go back to the hospital full time, but I don't want to leave the comfort of being per diem. And so now she's building herself as a brand, and she wants to do what she's doing right now on this podcast in front of live audiences. That's her dream. And so that's what she's working towards. And so this is what we're creating. This is what we're creating right here. Hopefully this is where it goes, right? That's the plan. That's the plan. And let us tell you, as her spiritual team, that is where she is headed. You will be able to find her live. Now, for you who aren't alive inside your job, what do? Go play. Go find fun. What are things that seem fun to you? Not necessarily lucrative, but fun. You will be surprised at what doors open and what your experiences will lead you to. It will create a sense of joy and excitement. And so maybe it doesn't become a job. Maybe it just becomes something that you become really passionate about. And so your job allows you to do your passion, right? But you have no idea how way leads on to way. Just as we told you, Kim wasn't excited about teaching. She refused to leave it. Hodgkins led to this, which led to this, which led to this, which led to that. And that is how the path unfolds in front of you. If you are not willing to try something new, however, you will stay stuck. We are so sorry to say. You will stay stuck. And we don't want anyone to be stuck, because stuck means a lack of growth. It means a lack of excitement. It means a lack of courage. It means a lack of a whole bunch of stuff. And what we want is for you to be alive. We want you to be alive, which is excited and lit up and joyful. And so we really encourage you to go find the excited and lit up and joyful, because that is where transformation happens. Transformation and growth happens when you're willing to move. If you're not willing to move, you're not willing to move emotions, you're not willing to move your body, you're not willing to move careers, you're not willing to go explore something fun, that is when sickness comes in. And that is when stagnancy comes in. And that is when mental health issues come in. And so we just encourage you to find the support you need and go play. Go be a child and explore and have fun. And the moment your ego gets big and says, why are you doing this? This is stupid. This is dumb. Why are we doing this? That is when you get to say no to your ego and yes to that spirit inside of you, that inner child that is looking for a little love and a little encouragement. And so what I want to end this episode with is a quick meditation. Let's just do this really fast. If you're driving, be safe. Don't close your eyes, right? And let me carry you. And if you're driving, maybe hit pause and not actually do this now. But literally, we're going to do this and it'll be the quickest thing ever, okay? And I'll make this really fast. And that is, I just want you to breathe in and breathe out. And I want you to ask, just be like, hey, little inner child, little inner Kimmy, right? What is it that you need to feel seen and supported? And the first thing that pops in your head, what is it that you need to feel seen and supported? And the first thing that pops in your head, that's it. That's all it is. Even if it feels silly, even if the response you had was an ice cream cone, even if the response you had was, I want to go on some swings. I want you to honor whatever it was that you heard, even if it seems completely bonkers. I mean, obviously, if it says jump out of your moving car, that's not really what you want to be listening to, right? But like something weird or a little unusual, right? Listen to that, do it and see what comes of it. And then ask your inner child again, what is it that you want? What is it that will light you up? For some of you, it might just be, I need a hug, or can we just like draw? Or it may be something so simple. And then as you and your inner child have communication with each other and your inner child begins to trust that you are listening, that is when you will start to get some real insight when you ask, what is it that you need? We love you so much and we're so glad you're here. We will talk to you soon.